What's up, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Team Chat Podcast, a video game show. I'm one of your hosts, Jarrett Wilson, joined to my right by Rachel Mogan.
Bonjour.
No.
I'm trying it out. I'm trying out a new language today. It's something called French. Maybe you've heard of it.
I've heard a few samplings.
Although I think it would technically be bonsoir.
Is bonjour good night, or is that just hello?
Bonjour is good morning.
Oh. I thought it was just hello.
Bonsoir is good evening. And it is nightish time.
That is true.
I mean, it's the
Night
same.
while we're recording.
Yeah, while
Nightish
we're
time.
recording. It's the same in Spanish and Italian. They always have different words for hello for morning, afternoon, and night. And if you use the wrong one, they'll look at you weird.
Well, because I know it's buonanotte first.
Yeah.
Italian.
Yeah.
I know.
You caught
I
yourself.
know my languages. Well, because that was more from Lady and the Tramp.
I didn't know
Called
that.
it Bellanotte. That song.
That's
No,
hilarious.
this is the night song. It's the big one. It's the big number.
I don't think I could tell you a thing about Lady and the Tramp other than that when I was a kid, the Siamese cats scared me.
Yes.
Which is funny because now I'm like, no, cats rule. I support all cats' crimes.
The only thing now about it that scares you is the racist stereotype that those Siamese cats were based
Yes, there were a lot of cat.
Do better.
There were a lot of cat-based Disney films in the aughts that had a lot of cat-based racism against Asian people specifically. Very weird.
Just a little bit. Just a little bit.
Aristocats was fucked up.
Oh, that had a... Oh.
Yeah,
I
do
just
you
like
remember?
mental image.
Oh my God, it was
Yes,
so bad.
That was bad.
I don't
The cat playing piano
with chopsticks.
with chopsticks.
Do you remember?
Woo!
Oh my God.
Yeah, that was not good. Not good.
Anyways,
Anyway, we're here to talk about a French game today.
Wait, Aristocats takes place in France.
Oh my God, it's a
it back
crossover. We brought it back around. Let's go. All right. Well, you can listen to us talk about a certain French game on which I'm sure you can guess what it is here on Team Chat Podcast when the episodes come out each and every week on Thursdays, where you can listen to them on podcast services around the World Wide Web, such as Apple Podcasts, Spotify, Amazon Music, and others. You can also watch a video version of each episode over on our YouTube channel. Links for all that are in the description below, where you'll also find links for our social media, such as Facebook, Threads, and Instagram. You can also find us over on TikTok as well. If you want to support the show by buying some cool-ass merch, well, you can do that by heading over to our TeePublic store, where we have shirts, hats, mugs, some other stuff too, tank tops, all the great stuff that the kids are wanting these days. And you can head over...
The kids.
The kids and the adults.
I think you mean the grown adults.
I mean,
who
I'm
are
pretty
the
sure we got
only
I'm
people
pretty
that
sure
listen
there's
to
a
our
onesie,
show.
a baby onesie on there.
I mean, like...
Honestly, we should have adult
maybe.
onesies.
Well, we should. Those are called rompers, and they're fine.
But you can check that out over on our TeePublic store. Link for that is also in the description. But if you want to support the show on a monthly basis, you can do that as well by heading over to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast, where for as little as $1 a month, you can support the show. Just like Allison H., Fuchsia, Ark, Brandon W., Bro Mogan, Ace Jokai, Erica L., Elise F., Michael B., Michael S., Snooty Boots, Susan M., and Zach S. have done. Like I said, they headed over to patreon.com/teamchatpodcast, where they support the show for as little as $1 a month. And in return, we give you cool perks like getting the episodes early before their general weekly release and access to a private channel on our Discord server, the Rogues Gallery. But also as a patron, dependent on whatever level, not dependent on any level of membership tier, you will also receive the Patreon exclusive show, Team Chit Chat, which, as I'm saying this now, I'm realizing I'm about 2 episodes behind on, so gotta get that kicked out for everybody. So guess what? You're gonna have a nice and loaded up week with like 3 Team Chit Chats. So get ready for all of that. But if you can't support us over there, that's totally fine. We completely understand, and there are a lot of free ways that you can support the show, such as telling your friends, writing reviews wherever you're listening to or watching the show, and of course, subscribing. But that helps get the good word of Team Chat Podcast out to the masses, and for that, we are eternally grateful and love each and every one of our viewers, listeners, patrons alike. Heart emoji.
Heart emoji, XOXO.
XO smooches. Smooches to you all.
I hit so much Star Wars stuff
I know,
with
I'm
my
sorry.
elbow.
I've been trying to reorganize and clean up in here. It's been a mess. Note the new shelf over there, which I realized this was supposed to be a 3-pack because there's another one up there. I put this one up here up first, thinking that I had 3. Then I put this one over here, planning to do yet another one to put another one over in that little gap. But then I had to order a new box because it was only a 2-pack.
If you hadn't told me that there was a new shelf, I never would have noticed.
But I have to point out all the new
things. I wouldn't have noticed that one. I definitely wouldn't have noticed this one. Although, like, in the viewfinder, it is at least more noticeable. But, like, if I just walked in here, I never would have.
Yeah.
Never would have.
That's why I wanted it, because it fills that little area back there above your head there. Just a blank spot on the wall. There is going to be some new stuff. You won't see it in the camera either, but I'm putting, like, comics on that little stuff. I got some,
fun.
I got some frames, some nice frames and everything to put some of my favorite covers up.
Cool.
So that'll be pretty sweet. But that's neither here nor there. In fact, we are so excited to talk to you today about Clair Obscur Expedition 33 that we are skipping moment with moment.
Correct. We just want to talk about the game.
Matters today.
It like to be like fully. Everybody knows it's going to happen. Clair Obscur is going to be game of the year.
It has to be.
It has to be.
Honestly, like I'm playing through Ghost of Yotai. It's a great game, fantastic game.
Doesn't stand a fucking chance.
No, I like
it's Clair
Obscur is absolutely smashing through literally every other game this year.
And,
I mean, Silksong
feels
like maybe the only other thing that's came close in terms of like sales numbers.
I mean, so Silksong has outsold Clair Obscur.
Right.
I think Silksong has already made it to 6 million. Clair Obscur definitely crossed 3 million. They may or may not have made it past 5.
Didn't they? I feel like we saw that one article that I feel like Brandon shared on the Discord
Where
that
they
was
did
like
3.33.
where it was like 3.33. Because then I made the joke of like, oh, you were right, and you're like, well, that's just counting this, not counting the other things, because you had made like a sales prediction or something like that within its first.
And mine was like laughably small. It wound up not being.
But I thought they had hit it, and they were close.
Over 5 million copies.
Boom. Okay, so they're pretty close on
pretty
par.
close. But I do think that Silksong has just barely beaten them out, and in a smaller amount of time.
Right.
But just full preview for our end of the year wrap up. There's no way Silksong is actually going to beat Clair Obscur for me.
Yeah.
And we'll talk about it at the end of the year, but it's just not going to happen. It's just not.
In terms of the two games, both very successful. Very successful. Expedition 33 is the more accessible of the two.
Which is so funny when you
that's
say
that's why where the thing got all screwed up in my brain. But yes, they're both very hard games.
Yes,
but
they're both
Clair
very
Obscur is way easier to get into than Silksong.
I agree. I also think that Clair Obscur is more accessible, maybe in the sense that it does have a more not necessarily. No, it is better. I'm just going to say it's better. It has it has both a better, more defined, and more engaging narrative, and I think that would probably be what propels someone to fight through the difficulty in Clair Obscur versus Silksong, which is still a phenomenal game in many, many ways, but it has a much higher difficulty curve and much less of a very prevalent narrative.
Yeah.
And it also just doesn't have like a broad cast of characters like Clair Obscur does. It doesn't have an SKA like Clair Obscur does.
Any game from now on that does not have SKA just in it. It doesn't
All
matter what it
games-
is. Call of Duty, I need an SKA skin.
We're going to need one SKA, and at some point in the game, you also need to come across Francois, because if you don't have both of them, it's not worth it.
And you got to still collect the rocks.
So you got to collect the rocks. So if there's no SKA and at least one cameo by Francois, it's not going to be game of the year. It's just not.
That is the standard that all games must meet from here on
And you'll
out.
understand more about that when we talk about the game. So, but my point being, I think you're totally right that Clair Obscur is in more ways than just the difficulty, the more accessible game. And I think, like, if you probably saw the numbers of how many people finish Silksong and
That's
Clair
true.
Obscur, I wouldn't be surprised if they're closer than you think. Sales numbers notwithstanding.
Yeah. Well, I mean, just to your point about like the accessibility of like the story and everything like that, I was like, again, I've said many times how I'm not a fan of
the French.
I have never said that, but
He says it all the time, guys. Behind the scenes, he's always ragging on the French.
no. What I was saying, I always have said that I've never been a huge fan of turn-based combat games, and
That is true.
so that obviously should have been a huge turnoff to this game in the first place, which it honestly was. Like, I really didn't think I was going to give it much of a shot, but then it blew up, and I was like, and everybody was like, no, but there's these new things you can do. Like, again, I've said the parrying, the dodging, that kind of like breaks the turn-based combat mold a little bit. That made it, again, more accessible. So I feel like it just did a lot of things. We'll get into all of that. We're going to talk about all of this stuff because, and this episode 2, just a fair warning, is going to be spoiler heavy.
We're going to talk about all of it.
What they call it, the spoiler cast, where we're going to be talking about all the things about this game because we have both finished it. We've both made it to the end. We've made all of our choices, and we're going to be talking about all of that. So if you don't want Clair Obscur spoiled for you, I would honestly suggest turning back now because there's not going to be much of a veil, I would say, in between, because we're going to be talking about early game stuff, but we're also going to be talking about late game mechanics and stuff like that too, not just story content. So
if you want our opinion on the game without spoilers, the First Impressions episode is perfect for that because no opinion has changed from First Impressions other than to double down.
Yes.
Like First Impressions
liked.
was so accurate and then it just got more. There was just more of everything. So if you don't want to have anything spoilered past Act 1, which is still pretty light on the spoilers, go back to First Impressions and then obviously play the game and then come back here.
I think story-wise, we only talk about like the prologue.
Yes,
we
maybe talked a little bit about Act 1.
We do talk a little bit about the beginnings of Act 1.
Yes.
But for the most part, any spoilers are going to kind of revolve in that
we
first,
didn't
like,
even
30
really
minutes,
talk
hour.
about some of the key characters that show up later in Act 1.
Yeah, that's true.
I feel like we barely touched on CL. Maybe we didn't even talk about her
I think
at
we
all.
talked about, like, maybe, like, using
We probably mentioned her, but didn't talk about how you get her.
Yeah.
Yeah. Anyways, so the point is, this is not that episode. We're going to be talking about all the spoilers. We're going to talk about basically all the story stuff because Jared and I have not talked amongst ourselves about
just like little bits. Obviously, we've talked about SK because who couldn't? But in terms of like some of our decisions that we've made along the way,
I don't know what
things that we found.
Jared
yeah,
picked.
same.
Oh boy,
which I didn't even know that was going to be a thing you were going to have to do, but here we are. So, without further ado, shall we jump into our discussion, our final review of Clair Obscur Expedition 33?
So we will try our best to start with at least some of the game mechanics that we didn't really get to talk about in the First Impressions episode because they hadn't been introduced in the game yet. So first and foremost, rest in peace, Gustav.
Oh my God! Wow, spoilers!
Sorry,
right
it's
off
at the end of Act 1.
Yeah, and I said in the First Impressions, I was like, man, ending of the prologue, I'm hooked. I want to see where this game goes. By the end of Act 1, holy shit!
Act 1 changes things.
Act 1 changes things in a big way because that is when, as Mogan said, Gustav. R.I.P., my dude.
So, I mean, obviously, Clair Obscur, as you know from the prologue, and I mean from really like all of the marketing materials about the game, it is a very loss-heavy game. Like they're not pulling punches on the emotional stuff. So characters die, and they die for good.
Yeah.
And at the end of Act 1, there's this incredible scene where you, Mael, Gustav, Ciel, and Lune are fighting against first the Lantern Demon. The Lamp Demon?
Look, Lantern,
what
whatever.
are they called?
Lantern Queen, I thought, or something
No. What's the word for...
Lamplighter?
No. What's the word for the creatures in general?
Oh,
Nevrons. God, it's been a few months since I finished the game now, so
I'm like, that's
there are a
Warhammer.
couple of things that I forgot. Anyways, you're playing against the Lamp Nevron. I forget what its exact name is.
Which holy shit, can we talk about how hard that is a boss fight was? Good grief.
Is such a good skill check for are you ready to go on to the next level? There are a couple of fights that I want to talk about because they were so fun. Looking back, I really enjoyed the Lamplighter.
Yeah.
Because did you clock that the lamps light up in a specific order that you're supposed to use the free aim shots to fire?
After like the 30th time of trying to fight her.
Yep.
I sure as shit did, but not. But oh my God. And when I recognized that, I was just like, you're kidding me. Because I was like, that's so simple. Why did I not think to do that? And because it even makes a thing.
They light up in order. They make a sound.
And it even says the lamplighter lights her lamps or something like that. And then she does it. And you're just like, oh, that's a really pretty tune.
Cool.
Back to fighting. And so that's just what I did. But yeah, when I finally figured that out, because that was not even until the second phase of that fight.
Yes.
So you're already in this fight pretty deep, like 10 minutes in at least, for getting that first part down. And then she throws that bullshit at you because if you don't deactivate
She'll
the
do
lanterns.
A big attack.
Big attack. Which is like it was like a long sequence, so pretty hard to parry. Dodges were even difficult on it. So yeah.
on the times that I didn't clock it, that move killed me for sure. Because it's also the beginning. It's not the beginning of the game, but it's early on. You have like no health. You have very little passive effects that are helping you out as well. So like any big hit, I mean, that's true for most of the game, but any big hit and you're done for. So that was a brutal, what do they call it? Early game blocker that if you can't get past the lamplighter, I mean, you should continue.
Definitely continue because the game just continues to get better. Nice. A nice reference. But yeah, it's just one of those things. It was one of those fights where like I've been rolling pretty good through. Like had a few guys here and there that kind of like stopped me up
really?
a little bit.
I feel like I was getting stomped at every turn.
Oh, really?
Like all the time.
Because definitely early game, I was just like dodging everything. I would try to like do some parries and stuff like that, but it took me a long time to like get the timing of parries and stuff down.
Gotcha.
But man, once I did though, love those parries.
Yeah.
But yeah, I felt like I was going along at a pretty good pace. Would get stuck every once in a while at a few people, but nothing like the lamplighter. And then so when I got to the lamplighter, I was like, oh my God, I don't know about this.
Yeah.
But then
you power through.
But then you
learn.
power through.
You become better.
You get to this next checkpoint, and then I was like, oh my God.
Yeah, so what happened was you think you've defeated the lamplighter. If that's not the creature's name, I don't care. I'm going to call them what I call them in my head. That one's the lamplighter. You think you've defeated the lamplighter. Gustav's still alive. The whole team lives. Everybody's okay, and Esquier is there. Which have we actually talked about like meeting Esquier?
I don't think we have yet because I had not met Esquier.
I feel like
let's
we
take
should.
A sidebar.
We got to do an Esquier sidebar. Everybody come over
the
here.
The first hour of this episode is Esquier centered.
So do you remember actually when you're in the prologue, there's a child or an artist that you can talk to that's just like a non-important NPC. And they tell you that they're a sculptor. And they're standing next to, like at the time I couldn't make heads or tails of it. They're standing next to something that they sculpted. And they're like, oh, it's the legendary hero Esquier.
Oh.
And everybody seems to know what who Esquier is. But Esquier doesn't really look human, as we'll talk about in a second. And the position of the sculpture was really like avant-garde, I guess you would say. So I didn't really know what I was looking at.
Yeah.
And then later in the game, you meet Esquier, and I was like, oh, he's not, because I was thinking, oh, legendary hero, it must be something human. He's not human.
He's not human.
He's
in fact,
different.
What does Verso call him? Wine bag? Does he call him like you big wine bag. And it's just like,
big wine bag.
I like that. But no, Esquier was an incredible character.
Just a fantastic character. So kind of early, maybe like middle of the way through Act 1, I want to say. You have gotten to the land of the Gestrels, the little like painting top, like the paintbrush topped wooden posable figurines.
They look like the troll dolls.
They do. They look like troll dolls, but they're actually based on those posable gesture dolls that artists use. Anyways, you make it to their like land, the Gestrel village, and you fight in the Gestrel arena, and that's where you meet Ciel. She's just sort of wound up in the Gestrel arena, and she's fighting to keep her place, I guess, and she's doing a killer job of it.
Because Ciel would have been with your initial expedition, because to backtrack, since we are kind of jumping around in the early story at this point a little bit, you set off on these expeditions. If you're not familiar with this game, it's because you're setting off on this expedition in an attempt to defeat the Paintress, who is this entity that you can see across the water from your home of Lumiere, thank you. And so and every year the Paintress paints a number on this tree, and at that point, anybody who's that age basically gramages, which means they just disappear and like basically Thanos snapped.
Gommage is the French word for erase.
Oh, well, how about that?
A lot of French cosmetics will use phrases like gommage because it's to like erase your pores.
Ah, interesting.
Isn't that a fun fact?
Wow.
French.
Wow.
Wow.
We're learning a lot
today.
A new lesson, but things about a new language, things about a new game.
But anyways, Jared is right. The Paintress is counting down. She's counting down to something. Nobody knows why. People just assume that she's doing it out of pure malice. So everyone in Lumiere, basically, when they get to what they know is their final year of life, if you don't really have anything else going on, why not go on an expedition to the continent and at least try? At least try to figure out if you can get to the Paintress. Even if you can't, maybe you and your crew can discover new stuff and leave behind notes for the ones who come after.
Exactly. So maybe in the hope that a future expedition will
That
be able to stop
someday
the expedition.
someone is going to succeed.
So at this point, we're at 33.
Yes.
It's been counting down from 100,
Yes,
right?
it started at 100.
And so then now we're at 33. And so obviously time is running out for the people of Lumiere because, at some point it's going to tip where there's not old enough.
Where you can't replace
Where you
anybody.
can't replace anybody and your
they're
world
just
will just
doomed.
end.
Yep.
So it's getting pretty dire. And so that's where we meet our heroes, Gustave, Mael, Lune. Do you meet
Lune,
Lune
yes.
at that point? And then you don't meet Ciel in the prologue, but she is on the expedition.
Correct. I think you see her on the boat. Lune you actually do see in Lumiere in the prologue because she's playing the guitar.
That's right.
You can't talk to her, but you know that she's there. And I think even Mael makes some sort of comment about how she always thought that maybe Gustave and Lune would end up together if he wasn't able to patch things up with Sophie, who did getting gommaged.
You thought, you didn't know what was going to happen. Then all of a sudden, goodbye.
Yeah, but anyway, so you don't really know who Ciel is at the time, but you learn after everybody gets back together at the Gestural Arena and she joins your party that obviously they know each other. They're all from Lumiere. Everybody, it's a small, literally dying town. Everybody knows everybody. So she's a good friend, and she becomes a much better friend to both Lune and especially to Mael, I think, as you're going through it. But
because Mael is young.
Yes.
Mael is 13, 14?
no, I think Mael is 16.
Oh, okay.
So she's much younger than her gommage would require, but her only family, well, at least as far as she's concerned, her only family are Gustave and his sister Emily, I want to say her name is, but she's not really important. She's just a side character. So from Mael's standpoint, she has no parents. I think they say
They'd
that
already been gommaged or lost on an expedition.
Her parents are dead for some reason. Many good reasons in
Yeah.
this game. Everybody's parents are all dead. But anyway, so she's like, no, I'm just going to go on my expedition. I'm going to go with Gustave, the only person that really matters in my life. And if we die, we die. So it's Gustave, Lune, Ciel, and Mael.
Yes.
On their initial expedition. That is, of course, until they meet.
The man in what? Or man in is...
Oh, I was going to talk about... No, never mind. You go for what you're talking
Oh,
about.
I was just going to say until they got to the continent.
I was going to skip all the way ahead to... I was going to skip all the way ahead to Eski again.
Oh, okay. Basically, they land on the continent for taking out the beginning of this expedition. They meet a dude in a long trench coat and with a cane who basically
sexy old man
wrecks their world.
Kills
and,
most of them.
Kills
Yeah.
most of the expedition just right off the bat.
I mean,
so
you
and they get
guess from the
separated.
boat that there were maybe 40 or 50 people on their expedition, and the vast majority of them are instantly killed.
Yeah.
It is nothing short of a miracle that the
Willie,
four...
you just gave everyone a wonderful shot of you sniffing birds' buttholes. So why don't you guys
Willie.
just go lay down somewhere?
Goodness.
Well, this is a family show.
Is it? We're going to be talking about a lot of not family-friendly stuff.
That's true.
Oh, bird, oh,
bird. She just needs her
baby
pets.
bird.
But
Anyway,
yes,
so you meet
that guy.
You meet your main antagonist other than the paintress. You meet this
Yes.
guy, the man in black. You later learn that his name is Renoir, and you learn that his name is Renoir at the end of Act 1 when you think you've defeated the lamplighter. It falls into the ocean. The rest of the crew, Lune and Ciel, actually jump onto Esquier, who we'll circle back to in a second, and they're like, "Come on," gesturing to Mael and Gustave, and then they hear the man in black's cane clicking on the floor, which is instantly bad news.
Because you've heard it before he slaughtered the expedition.
Yeah, and it's one of those great scenes where all of the other sounds fade out, and you just hear the echoing click of the cane,
And you just know something
you're fucked
terrible
up.
is going to go down.
So there's this awesome fight where Gustave is trying, because Gustave, as far as you know, is your protagonist. You are playing as Gustave. I mean, you play as everybody in combat, but
and
he's
you
your
can
main
switch
guy.
to who the main character is, who's running around when you're doing exploration and moving around.
But for example, when you go to camp, you are always Gustave.
Yes.
Because that's the main character. Big air quotes around that. You could argue that there is no main character. But anyway, so Gustave is trying to protect Mael. He's trying to wave her back to... actually, I think she gets trapped in something, doesn't she?
he puts up a defensive barrier around her
That's
because he knew that
right.
she was going to stay and try to fight.
Yes. So he puts up a defensive barrier around her, and you, the player, you try to fight Renoir alone.
After you've already been shot or stabbed through, you're already pretty much dead because as soon as he showed up, he did something to
he stabs
Gustave.
you.
He
You're
stabs
right,
you. That's
yeah.
right. And so you're already fuck.
You're already a dead man.
This
You're
isn't
basically
good.
just trying to buy time for Mael. Maybe she can get away.
Yeah.
There's no way you're going to kill Renoir. Absolutely no way. But you do your best to fight through the super sad fight obviously you lose,
Yeah.
and Renoir kills Gustav for good.
Which was wild.
Devastating.
Like, what a huge twist in this game. Because again, it's very early in the game. Like, you're only at the end of Act 1, pretty much at this point. There's still a lot of game left to go. And the main character
Is dead.
Which is also, like, hats off to the developers and the writers of this game and everything, because and the marketers of this game, because they did such a good job at keeping that hidden. Granted, they had the benefit of being an indie studio first release. Like, everybody's kind of being like, what's up? Let's see what's going on. So it's not like they had the media attention of some of the other big studios, but still, for that, they did have a big name actor attached to Gustav. It's Charlie Cox, Daredevil himself, and so, you see that and you're like, oh man, this is awesome. Like, Charlie Cox is doing this and he does such a fantastic job as Gustav.
I honestly did not know that it was Charlie Cox. I'm not going to lie.
Because he does. Because you're looking at him going, why is Arpats doing this guy's voice? Because Gustav looks like Robert Pattinson. Let's bring that back around.
I see it.
But anyway, so, it's Charlie Cox. So you're like, oh, for sure. That in and of itself, why would you guess that he's going to die? 4-ish hours or whatever, not super long into this game.
Yeah.
And so that was just a wild twist.
Just crazy, and obviously so gut-wrenching, because now the perspective of the game kind of shifts, because a couple of things happen in this fight with Renoir that are really important, but you don't really understand the gravity of what's happening until much later in the game, because Renoir isn't alone.
Yeah.
He has a character with him that I thought you described so interestingly as, you called her the doll.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, do you remember? So he's got a female character with him. She looks like you kind of can't get a feel early on for whether she's really young or really old.
Yeah.
Because she usually appears with Renoir, and she kind of looks like she's completely grayed out. She's grayscale.
That's why I thought she was a doll, because she looked porcelain.
Oh. So for starters, she does wear a half of a porcelain mask on the lower portion of her face. So that totally makes sense. You can maybe see around her eyes, if you're really looking, she either has wrinkles. I initially thought they were wrinkles, or maybe they're scars or something. And then she has long, totally white, gray-white hair. So I'm thinking, is she old? Is she young? I can't really tell. And she also doesn't talk. Renoir kind of talks at/around her, and she makes gestures. And sometimes I think even the subtitles will have speech from her.
I thought you would just kind of groan,
yeah,
kind of stuff like that, like she couldn't talk.
But there's this one scene where Maëlle is having a vision of Renoir, and we'll just call her the doll for now, because I don't think there's anything better than that, where she's having a vision of the two of them, and the doll points at Maëlle and says it's her fault. But no sound comes out.
Yes.
But she accuses Maëlle of something you don't know what.
In those parts too, especially with Maëlle's interactions with Renoir and the doll, it does kind of seem like it is almost more what's it when you can read people's thoughts?
Oh, telekinesis?
Yeah. Kind of more like
maybe
that.
It is.
Like they're hearing each other. Not necessarily. Because remember, there's always that flash and it goes to black and white.
That's true.
And also that I loved a little just it became the square 4:3 aspect ratio instead of full screen. I love just a fun little touch. I love that.
That was nice.
But yeah, so I always kind of thought it was that more like a telekinesis mind reading kind of
gotcha.
interaction. Oh, hey, you can hear me? And quit licking me.
She just loves licking.
I know. She
does.
Anyways,
Renoir is there, the doll is there, and then a new character shows up. You don't really know who this guy is. You could call him Newstav because he becomes New Gustav.
Yes, and this is Verso, who I mentioned earlier, and kind of then assumes the new role of the quote unquote protagonist. Although I would say honestly, just throwing this out there, I would say at this point on, and honestly maybe throughout the whole game, really Maëlle's the protagonist.
So I actually thought, after Gustav dies and you have to have someone be the main person at camp, I was honestly a little disappointed when you get to camp for the first time, post everything that goes down, and you're not Mael.
Yeah.
I assumed you were going to be Mael. And then you're Verso, and you're like, oh no, this guy.
Yeah.
because when you first meet him, you don't really know what his deal is.
Yeah.
You can't figure out, okay, he's clearly got backstory with Renoir.
These French accents.
Yeah, with Renoir.
Let's just do a text.
And the doll.
With that Renoir?
With that Renoir, yeah, okay.
With that Renoir guy there and that Versa?
So he's clearly got more history with these other two clearly antagonistic characters than he's letting on. You just don't really know exactly what his deal is.
Yeah.
But also when you look at his clothing, he's dressed a little bit more like what you might call an expeditioner. Not exactly, but he doesn't look like Renoir, and actually even the doll wears an outfit that you might squint at and go, is that an expeditioner's outfit?
Yeah.
They obviously don't have armbands, but it looks like maybe? So you have no idea what Verso's deal is. He's just saying words at Renoir and the doll that you can't make heads or tails of because you don't know what they know. You
Yeah.
will eventually figure it out, but at the time, you just know that Mael is devastated, Gustav is dead, and then Ciel and Lune are down on SK and they have no idea what even happened.
Right? Because it was even funny. It was like one of my favorite SGA moments too, which we need to circle back around to him for his intro and stuff like that too. But I just love when they're like all jumping down and Lune or Ciel when they're jumping down to him and everything in the ocean. And they're saying like, yeah, we got to get back to camp. Good thing we saved some of that wine. He's like, wine? Like does that his big voice and stuff like
He's
that.
so funny.
I loved it so much. But yeah, absolutely devastating, unexpected turn.
Yes.
Now, at this point too, and after you met Verso, well, okay, I'll save that for a second. Let's jump back to SKA. Let's talk about SKA. His
Backtrack real
introduction
quick. Yeah.
was fantastic.
Amazing.
Because it gets to the point where you're exploring around the mainland, the continent and stuff, and you eventually do get to this part where you have to cross the sea again to start getting to either the island that the paintress is on and then a couple other nearby islands that you need to get to. And so you realize, and everybody starts telling you, or the gestrals tell you, oh, you need to go meet Esquier because Esquier is like the most powerful being in this world and stuff like that, and he can swim across the sea
The
and get you to where you need
legendary
to go.
hero Esquier. It's true on the continent. It was true in Lumiere.
So it must be true. So you go to where Esquier, which I think it calls it Esquier's Nest.
Yeah, it does.
I think in the
Esquier's
game.
Nest.
And so you go there to find him. And then you find Esquier, and he is this giant, like we said, wine bag-esque type figure. He's just huge.
He's
just looks soft. He's got like a mask face thing on that is a non-expressive mask. Like it doesn't change. He's just like kind of like bloppy, but just kind of, but also strong.
He's so hard to describe if you've never seen him because he is so shape. He has so many shapes.
You would not look at him and be like, yes, this is the most powerful being in the world.
Because he has a tiny little face. Like his mask and head are actually really small and set into his body, which is very bulbous. It's kind of fat and bulbous, and then he has these really long arms that have very dramatic tufting around them. So his sleeves leading down to his very skinny hands are very poofy, and then he has these hilarious little stick legs on the bottom of him.
It honestly looks like it's one of those suits that people wear that the inflatable costume.
Yes,
it honestly is
he
that.
kind of looks like an inflatable, but a kind of scary but also friendly French circus version of one of those.
Pretty much.
So when you first meet Esquier, he also has this phenomenal voice, which we haven't talked about the rest of the cast real quick, but we gotta give some shout outs. Maxence Cazorla. What a name.
What a name.
God, I'm sorry if I did it bad. He's the voice of Esquier. I would argue the most accomplished voice actor of our generation. Later we will talk about the character of Minoko. He is voiced by Rich Keeble. Ciel is Shayla Nix. Lune is Kirsty Ryder. Mael is Jennifer English. And Verso is Ben Starr.
Another big name.
And then somehow Renoir is fucking Andy Serkis.
Which I like heard it a little bit, and then I think we found that out about the same time, and I was like, oh my God, it absolutely is. Like, how did I not catch it?
Believe it.
But
I was
also,
astonished.
Hats off to Andy Serkis for taking these smaller roles like this still. Like, I love it. I love it.
Maybe he could tell in the script that it was going to be Game of the Year, and he was like, I got to get in on
I
this.
gotta get in on this. You know, I just did this little side project called Andor. Don't know if you've heard about it.
Maybe.
But, you know, and then here, I got to do something new after that.
So anyways, the point is you meet SK. He's this larger-than-life creature. He's at least, 5 times bigger than a human person?
Yeah.
Because your crew can ride on him. He becomes your vehicle.
Yeah. And so you literally just stand on SK as he is your raft.
He literally swims. He uses his arms and he swims through
Yeah.
the water with you on top of him.
You
and
can
it's
even
hilarious.
ride him around, and you just like run around on top of SK.
Because
it's
he's
great.
faster than your human models.
Yeah.
So if you want to get somewhere quick on the overworld, you got to get on SK. And also, why wouldn't you? He's
Right,
the
'cause
best.
it's the best.
So you meet SK in SK's nest, and you're talking to him, and you're trying to get him to join your team. And again, at the beginning, you kind of can't tell if he's a friend or foe, because you can't tell, is he silly? Is he messing with us? I can't really get a
Is he
gauge on this
drunk?
guy. But he's telling you, oh, well, I can't help you cross the sea because I lost my rocks. And you're like, beg pardon?
Yeah, apparently rocks are what give him his power.
He's got special rocks that give him his powers, and he's missing the one for water. All of his rocks have names. And Flory, yeah. So you have to go somehow get Flory back from Francois's best friend, air quotes,
SK's best
from SK's best friend, Francois. And he's just over in the next cave.
Literally just right
He's
over
just
there.
right over there.
And he's like, yeah, he's got my Flory. I can't go anywhere.
So you have to go fight Francois, and Francois is fucking hysterical because for all intents and purposes, he is a turtle. Or
doesn't
a snail.
move.
He's a turtle or a snail that doesn't move. He doesn't even have legs. He's just a face in the bottom of either a turtle or snail
Yeah.
shell. But he does, like, what does it call his attack? Like the most powerful ice attack in existence.
Yeah.
And if it hits you at all, it totally one-shots you. So you just have to parry it perfectly to defeat him and get the rock back.
Yeah.
But Francois is so funny because all of his dialogue is about how much he hates SKA and he doesn't need friends and he just wants to be alone.
And
So
aren't they
you're-
like yelling back and forth to each other? Like they can hear each other, they can see each other, but they're just like crotchety old men neighbors
Yes.
who are just like pissed about something that the other did to him back in 1952.
They are so funny, and that's true of a lot of different interactions and characters in Clair Obscur. It is so interesting to see how they masterfully balanced the tragedy with the comedy, because there were many points in the game where I laughed out loud because things
yeah.
were so funny, and that
So
was one
funny.
of them.
Because SKA, we've talked about the voice, we've both done the voice a little bit here, but like I loved it and I thought it fit the character so well because it basically sounded like somebody doing an even more embellished Andre the Giant from The Princess Bride.
Yes, that
Well, I mean,
is
or just
what it
Andre
sound-
the Giant in general.
A French Andre the
French,
Giant.
I mean, Andre the Giant was French, I guess.
Oh yeah.
So I guess it all makes sense, and so that makes it even more. But I just the whole time just thought like, oh my god, I'm just imagining Andre the Giant in the sound booth just doing these voices because like he has
was
such.
French. Oh
There
my
we go,
God,
perfect.
wow.
Because then I guarantee you that was an inspiration. But because yeah, he just has this like super deep like melodic voice, and it's almost sing-songy.
Yes.
And so like how he talks about like Flory, he's just like, oh Flory, like and
That was
everything.
such a good impression, Jared.
Thank you.
Oh
I've
my
been
God.
practicing, and so I love it. I just loved how all of this stuff and how he just talks to you back and forth, and like he just wants to be your friend.
He
just
does.
wants to be a pal.
Which you do clock pretty quickly after this interaction with Francois. So you return Flory to SKA, and he's like, great, now we can do it.
Yeah.
So he officially joins your party, and you can then venture out into the overworld. He can also break through big rocks, which were previously blocking your path.
Mm-hmm.
So he can get through rocks, and he can swim, more importantly. And that really opens up the rest of the overworld.
Big time. And later in the game, he actually does gain another ability, which we'll just go ahead and say now, is he can fly. And so,
With his
which was
rock-
great because I love that when he comes up to Verso and he's just like, Verso, look, I found Sorry. It's just like, oh my God, could it get any better?
So
Flory
funny.
and Sorry.
I'm not sure if you got to it. You maybe didn't, but if you do other optional stuff, you can actually find one of his other rocks. I am so sorry. I can't remember the name, so I can't tell you what to say to do. the impression. But he finds the rock that lets him dive.
Oh, that's cool.
Because you know those parts on the water which are like bubbles?
Yes.
And if you hover over them, you can push square to dive, but you can't do it if SKA doesn't have the right rock. Eventually,
I had no idea that you could dive. I would like, okay, so this was going to be another thing that
it's a way late game thing.
Okay, because this was going to be another part of this that we were kind of going to be talking about back and forth as we were talking about the story and stuff, is that we actually saw quite a few different things because I didn't do as much side exploration as I normally do because I was trying to get through it so we could be doing this review eventually before 2026. And so I didn't do a ton of side exploring, but I still got different character interactions and story bits that you didn't get.
Yeah, because I initially when I first started the game, and I would say this was true kind of up through maybe a quarter into Act 2, I really didn't understand the point of camp.
Yes.
So I wasn't really going to camp unless the story prompted me to, which means I actually missed, because basically every time you go to camp, you can have the option of talking with the other characters as whoever your air quotes protagonist is. So when you're Gustav, you can have conversations with Mael, Ciel, and Lune. When you're Verso, you can do the same thing, but also Esquier, which is just the best. You should absolutely be doing that. But I didn't really gather that you should be doing that. So when I was watching you play the game, you were earlier on than I had been at the time, and you were at camp. And it was right after, maybe not right after, but shortly after you had gotten Verso. So Verso did this whole scene with the other characters that I completely missed, where he like uses magic to separate his upper half from his lower half to like do a little prank trick on the rest of the crew to lift their spirits. And I had no idea that that was a thing that you could see. I totally missed it. Just crazy.
Which is fun because, and so I'm sure that there's a ton that, you know, that you saw because you did do more of the exploring that like the diving bubbles.
So wait, did you see the one where it's Esquia's wine bag?
I don't know.
I don't think you did.
I don't think I did then.
So way later in the game, I want to say that this is either at the end of Act 2.
She's busy, Willie.
Oh goodness, it's either
I'll play with your rope.
It's either the end of Act 2 or maybe even the beginning of Act 3, because a lot of shit has gone down and like spirits at camp are low, real bad. So Ciel is trying to cheer everybody up, and she's like, "Oh, you guys, now you know why not now? Oh, I think it's right before you go to the monolith." So, like, in their minds, it's the final stretch. You're going to fight the Paintress tomorrow. This is your final night as the crew before you fight the Paintress. And Ciel is trying to lift everybody's spirits up. And she's like, I forgot to tell everybody. I discovered this thing. And she goes to Esquier and just sticks her hand into him. No, wait, she, like, pushes on his stomach. And he just barfs wine out.
What?
He's a literal wine bag.
He literally is a wine bag.
So he just he just starts barfing out wine, and she like gets a cup and just puts it under, and she's like, that's where Verso's been hiding all the wine, guys. And Verso's like, Esquier, you fucking told her our secret? And it's so funny.
That is incredible.
Like,
no, I missed that
the noise
one.
that he makes, oh my god, I was rolling. So anyways, Esquier's a literal wine bag. So that's what I'm saying, like, I got that scene but you didn't. But you remembered that he called him a wine bag, and it's like, oh, that actually winds up being true
why
way
he
later.
calls him that. That's really funny.
So funny.
But no, because you could do the individual conversations at camp, but then there was also the option in the menu that was talk or catch up with party members. And that would show a different cutscene than the conversations you would already have. Now, one thing where I think I might have missed, / the game could have made this a little bit clearer, is that it would sometimes, after you did a conversation check in with the others, it would still be an option, and you could pick that and then see another scene.
I
didn't figure that out for a while.
I didn't either. I didn't clock it. I just kind of figured, oh, I already talked to them. I must be done.
Yeah.
No, you got to be checking.
No, there's something else, because it should go away if there wasn't another option.
Exactly. And actually, this is important because this is a mechanic that doesn't really become a thing until Verso joins the party. But the more you talk to your other party members, you actually level up Verso's relationship with them. And each of them has a different relationship level. So you talk to Esquier, Ciel, Lune, Mael, and eventually Minoko, who's also the absolute best. We'll talk about him
We'll talk
later.
about him in a second.
There's so much to say about him.
Yes. Because also, when you raise the relationship level, this also brings us to another part of the game that we missed out on in the first impressions, because it will actually, as you raise your relationship level with other people, will allow you to unlock gradient attacks for those respective characters.
And this is something that you don't learn about until Act 2, because it introduces another mechanic called gradient parries and gradient attacks. Basically, it's this point in any given fight. Small enemies do these, bosses do these, and your characters can do them if you have enough ability points for it. Basically, the world kind of goes monochromatic for a quick second, and if you don't parry that attack, it's probably going to be a really big attack. So that's a gradient parry.
With a specific parry. It's not your normal parry. It's R2 on the controller.
Right. So if you parry it right, you're going to be fine, just like all the other parries. But if you don't, you're probably dead in the water.
And I will say, they seem to have a more forgiving parry window.
Yes, I think they do, because it was pretty rare that I missed a gradient parry, but the regular parries, I
couldn't
missed
hit them
those
for
all
anything.
the time.
Yeah, I know. I would go through like spurts where for whatever reason I just kept getting the timing wrong with the gradient attack, and especially like poor Mael just got flattened by so many gradient attacks because I kept messing up the timing of a parry. I don't know why, but yeah, for the most part, way more forgiving.
Yeah,
and you usually do pretty big damage back.
Yes,
if you
do pretty big damage
after
back.
a gradient parry.
And then your gradient attacks are different for each character. Like Jarrett said, you get new ones by leveling up the relationships. Most of them are on theme for each of the characters, though. So like with Lune, she's got one that does a really big earth...
No.
Goodness. She has things to say about Lune.
She has things to say about Lune. She's mad that we're ignoring her.
Oh, goodness. Baby Willis.
Get your rope.
Meow.
She doesn't want it.
Now she's mad.
All right, now we're playing tug.
But like Lune has one that is an earth-based healing attack. She's also got one that I always forget her second one. I think it's a fire-based one, and it's really good.
I think I had both of hers. Because Monoko has Mael has the one that somebody removes. No, it was Lune. Lune removes all shields.
Does she?
If from her or Monoko did. I'm pretty sure it was Lune had the gradient attack that would remove all shields from your enemies.
Oh, gotcha. I'm going to be totally honest. I frequently forgot about the gradient attacks.
Honestly, I did too.
I often didn't use
pretty
them.
much just only use CLs, honestly.
I barely used CL at all.
Oh, see?
I just couldn't figure out her kit. I felt like I was never doing CL's balance of like Twilight and Sun charges right.
I never really dealt with her switching between the sun charges because I feel like the sun charges and the darkness charges, because each character like obviously has their own kit. I don't think we're going to spend a ton of time on that part of this today because, you'll figure that out from playing.
They're all awesome.
But yes. But when we first talked about the CL was also kind of on my bench because I didn't want to.
We froze. Do we think that's bad?
Uh-oh. Nope.
Oh,
it's
there
fine.
we go. Okay.
I think there was like a update or something that needs to run. I haven't touched the computer in a while. But it was like CL also I was having a hard time clicking, but I did get like some of her skills set up right that basically like I built just basically a step like do this one once, then do this one, then do this one, and like a couple other variations if needed. But man, I could stack up the damage. I got with CL. I got this one Grim Harvest, I think was one of her skills.
I had Grim Harvest.
Oh my god. I was running late game. I was running CL, Lune, and Monoko.
Wow, fun group.
I know, because every single one of them could heal, and every single one of them could just dish out the damage.
See,
I was able to like just keep everybody alive, and then Lune had the rebirth, so she could like heal, could bring somebody back if you did it at the right in the right settings, with 0 ability point cost, and you could re-heal somebody, revive somebody with like full health too.
Yeah.
So it was a pretty good setup.
See, the thing about CL that I could never get down was how to do big damage. Like I had those abilities, but I just felt like I was never balancing her order of events right. So I was never really getting to the big damage with her.
Did you stack up that? I always had to do that like focus foretell.
I used Focus Foretell. I don't know. I just couldn't get it right.
That's the key.
I mean, I was definitely getting Foretell on them. It seemed like her Twilight stage always went away before I was able to get enough Foretell and then also go into Twilight mode to get off the big damage. And then for whatever reason with CL, I never fucking had enough ability points. I just never had enough.
Once I figured out how to use Pictos and What's the like passive version?
Lumina.
Lumina, thank you. Which, you had to point out, be like, hey, did you know you can give Lumina and, like do all this to your characters and give them passive abilities? And I was like, no. Once I figured that out, it's a big important step that the game doesn't necessarily spell out very clearly for you. So pay attention. But it is very useful to use Lumina points and everything like that. But
Most players would call it required because otherwise you're going to have a really bad time.
But no, I was like, I had it where Minoko was pretty much he would get ability points if he got hit. Like CL, and I had it set up where they would get on a perfect dodge or a parry, they would get the first time for a battle, they would get an ability point, or for each like attack, I guess, basically. Yeah. So yeah, I was able to get like,
I don't know.
Everybody pumped up. Like I had them like around 7 or 8, like most of the time.
I had everybody else down to a science, except for Minoko, who I liked to actually change up his kit all the time because I wanted to try out all of his different abilities. We'll talk about it in a second. But like with CL, it just never clicked. Mael and Verso, and really Lune, I would say that I had the most utility out of the three of them. And then Minoko was just for fun, just whatever I felt like at the time.
I probably used Verso the least.
Oh, it was
Verso and
rare.
Mael were very much my bench characters.
Oh my god, it was a struggle for me to figure out who was going to fill the third slot because I always wanted Verso and Mael in.
Oh really?
Mael was my big damage dealer.
Oh, see, I could not figure out Mael.
Oh, okay, see that we had very different experiences then because I had Mael on day
every
one.
once in a while.
Oh no,
but like. I did like her like switching of stances, and moving in between all of those things. But yeah, like for whatever reason, CL, Lune, I had them down pat.
So with Verso, his kit has a lot of stuff that can optimize off of him being at low health. Mm-hmm. And then Mael, I basically just set her up to be a perfect parry machine so that every time she did a parry, it would do 12 fucking bazillion damage.
Nice.
Because I always had her in Virtuose stance. That's plus 200% damage for all of her parries, blah, blah, blah. And then I had a bunch of Pictos and Lumina scaling off of that as well. With Verso, the idea was get him to 1 HP and then do a parry and everything dies.
Yeah. Well, but I mean, he was difficult too to balance because I had a hard time getting the right skills picked for Verso because his skills, the like extra boosts that they get, were tied to his damage skill rank basically that he would earn in battle.
Yes.
So it was hard to get like a good variety of ones that weren't all just like when he's at B level, you get this. So that was what was a little bit more difficult with Verso.
Yeah.
But I did you ever use the Picto or Lumina? I used it as a Lumina, so a passive effect, but the roulette?
No, I was always too scared of it.
Oh my God.
Was it really
Wait, why
good?
were you scared of it?
Because it either does plus 200 or plus 50% damage?
No, I think yeah.
Am I thinking of the wrong one?
It was no. That it was right, and it would do it to the other person. But like I like getting that 200% bonus hit across all your characters I would say because I would set that as a thing.
Maybe I misunderstood it because in my mind, maybe I misread it because
like you took the damage back if it didn't work.
I thought it was either plus 200% or minus 50%. That's actually what I thought it was.
Okay,
so I thought she would either do half damage or she would do plus 200% damage. And I mean, you can put it on anybody, but that's what I thought.
Let me see. What did I just call it? Roulette.
Yeah, because I thought it was 50% damage or plus 200%.
Let's see.
Lumina. What was this one? Which speaking
every hit has a 50% chance. Oh, okay. So a 50% chance to either deal 50% or 200%.
See, I was scared of the 50% because I was like, I do not need people out here doing half damage.
Oh, see, I guess that never really because I had it as like the passive, it didn't really matter. Because it's gonna do their big attack, and maybe I didn't have it set for everybody. I did have it set for CL. I do know, and I feel like I was getting lucky with the 200% because every once in a while she would just mash out a huge attack. But yeah, so we've talked about him a little bit. But let's talk about Minoko.
Yes. So you meet Esquier, you start to explore the rest of the continent. The next thing, so Verso basically becomes your new, big air quotes on this, protagonist, and more importantly, your guide. Mm-hmm. Because what Verso basically tells you, and again, he's really like squirrely about it. You know he's not telling you stuff. But he tells you that he has been on the continent for a long, long time and that he has helped previous expeditions before. All of them obviously failed, but he has done his best to try and help them get to the monolith.
And suspiciously, he's still alive.
Suspiciously, he's still alive. He does have a really big scar over one of his eyes.
Yeah,
and he does look, it just makes him look more handsome. So
Right?
who
He
cares?
got that little gray streak through his hair,
he's
too.
got that sexy
Ooh.
gray streak. And obviously Ben Starr plays him beautifully, so he's just fantastic. I was like, I appreciate the upgrade. There was the meme of people saying, like, with the upgrade, the meme of, like, upgrade. Oh, fuck, go back.
Yeah.
There were people doing that with Gustav and Verso, and I was like, no, keep the upgrade. I like Verso. But anyway, so Verso is like, okay, the next thing we probably need to do is go get my friend. I can't remember if he calls him a friend, but we are going to need Minoko for this. And you don't know who Minoko is. You don't know where he is, but Verso does. So he takes you to this like snowy, fun, pretty part of the map that's also got like broken down train lines all over the place.
Yeah.
But like they go into the stratosphere, so it's just like nonsensical. Gravity doesn't matter here world. And you get to a big train station and you find Minoko. Do you want to talk about him?
Let's
'Cause he's
talk
the
about
best.
Minoko.
He's not as good as Esquier.
But he's like a
He
runner-up.
is only 0.0001% not as good because they're both just incredible characters.
Because Minoko is a gestural,
Minoko is a gestural, so the first thing you learn about him is he is not human.
but like a monkey gestural.
He-
Because he doesn't look as figurine like
Yes.
the paintbrush figurine
He
like the others
definitely has
do.
a very different shape than the other gestrals do. Kind of similar to Esquier, actually, in that he's got very oversized he's a lot more square, though. Minoko is more square, but he's got big shoulders, little tiny V of a waist, and then little skinny gestral legs. And he's also got big, long arms. So he definitely does give the impression of, like, maybe an orangutan?
Yeah.
Like, kind of a long, large ape.
Honestly,
and his fur, which he has,
Yeah.
and a lot of the other, they've all got their head of paintbrush hair, but his kind of looks more like a cuff of fur.
Yeah.
Like what
Like
do
a-
lions
like
have?
a mane, yeah.
Yeah, he's got
I
a mane
honestly-
of white fur.
Haven't seen the movie, but I just know the character. The ape monkey character in the Leica Studios Kubo and the Two Strings.
Oh, yes.
That's kind of who I always had in my head behind the mask
Gotcha.
for Minoko.
That's interesting.
Which secondary part of this, and the French accent's getting to me again. It took forever for me to be able to call him Minoko because it's spelled Monaco.
Not Monaco. Yeah, I know.
They all say Minoko.
Yes.
And I was always like, what? And I feel like for the first week or so after I got to him,
Yeah.
trying to talk to him about with you, and I just kept saying the wrong word. I was so annoyed.
Well, anybody, at least we're not the British, and we don't pronounce it loon.
This is true.
They say Lune in the game, guys. There's no excuse. There's no excuse. I mean,
Do better.
if you can't say Renoir properly, I understand that the French R is really hard, but Lune, easy. And we speak the same language, so you should
different
be
flourishes.
able to say it.
But,
Anyways, so you meet Minoko, and he is such just a character
Yeah.
because you kind of gather that he is maybe like a mentor to Verso.
Yeah.
He's both a friend, but also maybe a mentor, and they have just the best bromance because they are constantly wanting to pit their metal against each other
Because the
in
thing about
fierce
gestrals-
combat.
The gestrals love to fight. They're
love
these
to fight.
little tiny people, but they just love to
Their
fight.
whole culture is based around fighting and beating people up. That's why they have the Gestral Arena.
Yep.
It is their noble pastime. Everybody does it. So Verso has obviously picked that up with them because, again, through his conversations with Minoko, you gather that they've known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
Now, at this point, you still really don't know how old Verso is. So you're like, okay, they've known each other for a really long time. Verso says that he has helped multiple expeditions through the continent. How old is this guy? How old is Minoko? How
Right.
old is anybody here? Esquier, I mean, sure, he's probably 12 billion years old, but he's different.
Ageless.
These
Yeah.
other people, what's going on here? So, and you're just not sure at this point.
But it was very fun too because you use the gestral's love of fighting to even recruit Minoko to come on this quest with you. Because you're like, Versa walks up to him, he's like, "Hey man, we're gonna go up against the Paintress," and he's like, "Nah, I've done this."
He's like, "No way."
I've done this too many times before. I know this road. I'm not gonna do it." And Versa goes, but there's going to be a lot of fighting. And Monoko goes, all right, I'm in.
It was so funny.
I love it.
The way that they paced that scene was phenomenal.
Yes, so good. But then Monoko, too, just also, he's a great character both in his character and in his combat skill, because his combat is so fun and so unique, because unlike all the other characters, you don't unlock his skills through points that you earn.
He doesn't have a skill tree.
Yeah.
Everybody else does, but not Monoko.
Because Monoko gets his abilities from the enemies you defeat. He has to be in your party, but once you beat a new enemy type, Monoko will receive a new attack or a new skill from that enemy.
And in lore, he specifically is gaining those skills by stealing a foot from each of the enemies you defeat.
I don't know why his name was Monoko and not Quentin Tarantino.
But anyways, when you said defeat, I was like, feet.
No, not in that way. But yeah, so you meet him and all that. So he's really cool because you go and like fight against people. He's initially pretty weak a little bit, but then once you start getting a few of the Nevrons and get a few of their skills and abilities, it's really cool because he also like transforms into the Nevron.
Yeah, he becomes them, which is really fun.
It's basically like he just like takes their foot, clones it, and becomes them.
It also is pretty interesting because he gains abilities from each of the Nevrons that are very similar, but sometimes a little different to the attacks that they've used against you.
Mm-hmm.
So whenever he gets a new ability from a Nevron, you have a vague idea of what it might do, but it also might do bonus effects on top of that.
Right.
And also he has, what is it? So he's got a wheel of masks. Basically,
Yes.
all of the Nevrons are categorized into 6 different categories. It actually may have been 5 because there was Caster Mask, the red one,
Balance
the green
mask,
one, the Balance
Mighty
Mask.
No, the Almighty Mask
Almighty
was like
Mask.
the ultimate.
And then I feel like I'm forgetting one.
Yeah, there's 1 or 2 more. I think there's 5 to 6.
The purple mask.
Yes.
Whatever the purple one was. So anyways, all of the different Nevrons that you fight, they fall into one of those categories. And ideally, whenever you are using his attacks, the wheel spins. So whatever direction it spins in, you might start on the Caster Mask, which is the blue one, which means that if you use a blue mask skill, it usually does a bonus effect on top of what it already does. But when the wheel spins, if you only have blue abilities and it's on the red mask, what are you going to do?
Right.
So it really incentivizes you to try and get a nice synergistic kit. I hate that I had to use a business word here, but it simply made sense. You want a really nice balanced kit for him with abilities that will lead into other abilities that are elsewhere on the mask wheel.
Yeah.
Very fun. His kit is so fun.
Very fun. And his heal that you get pretty early
Pellerin heal
is so
it's so good.
Because if you use it just normally, it gives all of your party a health regen. So every time it's their turn, they'll get a small bit of health back. But if you do it when it's actually on the preferred mask, which I think was the green one.
Caster Mask, actually. It was the blue one.
It was the blue one. It would do it where it would actually heal your party completely and then give them regen. Yeah. Incredible. So useful.
I realized way later on I wasn't quite paying attention. There's that one kind of not often used status effect where your character becomes like shadowy.
Yes.
And heals do damage.
Right.
And I was
inverted.
And I wasn't clocking that at first. So I was using Monoko and I tried to use Pellerin heal. Everybody died.
Oh no.
I was like, oh no.
This went poorly.
This is also something that we didn't really get to talk about in the First Impressions episode because we didn't really have enough party members. But when you've got all 5 of them, you unlock this other ability where you can send in the reserve team. So if all 3 of your main party members die, you can choose to either restart the fight or you can send in the reserve team, which are your 2 backup characters.
Which I kind of liked.
I loved that because I actually there were a bunch of Pictos and Lumina that had to do with being the last man standing.
Yes.
So I always had my non-active character, or in some cases 2 characters, as the last man standing, so that they were actually way powerful if everybody else was dead. And sometimes I would just have Mael be the last man standing on purpose and just mow through everyone else. It was so fun and easy.
Nice.
So that's a really fun idea that none of the other RPGs or JRPGs I've ever played have really done. You can't swap them out at will during battle. So it's
Right.
not like you've got your 3 and then you can swap in Verso or whoever at will. They have to all die and then you get the backup team.
And a nice quality of life update that did come to the game later on is that they actually gave you the ability to retry the battle from the failure screen, not have to go back to the last load save and like journey back to it every
That
time.
update came basically right as I was finishing the game.
Oof.
So it was
Still when I was nicely right in the middle.
it was
so
too
I got
late
to,
for me.
I got to enjoy the full benefits.
But for those who come after, I understand.
Listen to our notes and take heed, because you will want to be able to use that retry battle button. But you can't switch out your party members if you do that.
Yes.
So to be able to fully switch out your party members and try a whole new front at the attack, you have to back out, go back to the save spot, change out your stuff and all that jazz.
And especially if you're coming up against a boss that you haven't fought before, there were all kinds of things that you might not think about that actually wound up being really important in battle, because all of the enemies do have elemental weaknesses.
Yes.
Or elemental resistances. So something can be weak, neutral, resistant, or completely immune to certain types of elements. The elements are light, earth, wind, fire. It's not actually wind, it's
darkness, electric.
Actually, yes, darkness from CL, and then eventually you get another element called void.
Yeah.
And if something is completely immune to your weapon's elemental assignment,
Tough shit, dude.
you're kind of screwed with that character. Like, there were a couple of bosses where I didn't really understand the nullification, because it would say no. And I was like, what does that mean?
It was the Obscures.
Yes. The Obscures, but then there was also this one, like, chromatic enemy that was immune to light, and all of my characters were using light at the time, and I was like, oh no, we're
I'm gonna have to die and restart.
So you might actually need to die and totally back up and completely rethink your character kit, because if you're using attacks like with Lune, if something's resistant to fire and all of her kit is fire-based, you probably don't want Lune in the team. You maybe want to swap somebody else in for that. So there were a lot of very specific scenarios where you really had to totally rethink your strategy, and I actually love that.
Yeah, same.
I love a JRPG menu. I live in the menu. I thrive in the menu. So I love that.
I like again that it had the interactions to the menus, the disruptions to the menus with the parries, the attacks, and all that stuff. Because that was the thing that just like takes me out of it. If all I'm doing is just picking different things and doing all this, and then just
love a menu.
But no, I love it. We've talked about that before. Should we circle back around for the sake of time?
We're going long. I'm sorry.
To back to the story and kind of because most of the stuff mechanically, like we said in the first impressions episode, you can really hear us talk about that. We've touched on some of the newer additions as they've come into the later parts of the game, but there is still Act 3.
There's a lot of stuff we have to talk about. So now that we've got all of our characters, we've got Monoko, we've got Eskie, we can really start to blaze through the rest of Act 2. So if you're not familiar, Act 2 actually is the meat of the game.
Yeah.
Because Act 3 is really short and kind of your opportunity to do anything you hadn't already done that was optional. As far as story content goes, there's basically just the final...
That's true.
Yeah. So
it's all pretty much Act 2.
When you get to Act 3, you just have one final mainline story task to do, and then you're done with the game. Roll credits. But up until that, in Act 2, you continue to make progress towards the Paintress. So the next kind of big story things that happen, and I'm just going to sort of breeze through these, you get Monoko. He starts leading you around the continent to fight the Axons, because what you learn from him and Verso is that the Paintress's monolith is actually shielded by like an energy barrier.
That's right. You got to create the sword.
You can't even get through the barrier. So you have to find some way to get through the barrier to even get to her. So you have to do that by fighting the Axons, because if you can get, I forget exactly what the details are.
It was like a piece of each of them.
Yes, that's right.
Or something
you have to
like
get
that,
a piece.
or part of their chroma or something like
right.
that.
Yeah, that's right. It was about chroma. So you have to get chroma from the Axons for the Curator, who has been sort of your voiceless, creepy helper the whole time.
He hangs out at camp just creepily in his own little room.
He upgrades your weapons.
Yeah.
He's got like nothing for a face. He's like a...
It's like a hole. It's just like his head, and it's just like his face got like punched out or something.
Mael meets him when she wakes up in the manor.
That's
So
right.
you don't really know anything about that. He looks like an enemy, but he's not, maybe. So he's the one that's going to help you upgrade these weapons. Verso is against it, but everybody else thinks that it's their only chance, so they go to fight the Axons. The Axons are these larger, I mean, like even more so than any of the other enemies you fought. They are these gargantuan enemies. One is made of different masks. The other one is a giant dancer.
Yes.
And when you get to her in like that Coliseum area, oh, that soundtrack is so
So
beautiful. I loved that entire sequence. But anyways, you blaze through those, you fight the Axons, presumably
Blaze
you
in
win.
quotes. Those were hard
Those
fights.
were hard fights.
Especially the masked dude.
So actually, I didn't have any problems with the mask guy.
Okay, well, I did it in the wrong order. Oh. I did the laughing guy first.
I did too.
Oh.
Yeah, I did. I did Seren second.
Which one did I do wrong? Whichever one I did first. I thought it was the laughing guy I did first.
Oh, are they harder if you do them in a different order?
Apparently, there is an order you're supposed to do them in that's easier.
Oh, I must have done them in the right order then.
Yeah, because
Any-
whichever one I did first, I was like, "This is stupid. How hard this is." And then you go through,
Gotcha.
and then I think I was talking to Michael, and he was like, "No, go do the other one first." And I was like, "Ah, okay, this makes more sense."
But I think that this was actually something that was optional for both of the Axons, which I loved, because technically you didn't have to fight the 3 emotion masks before the main Axon. You could have just gone to fight him, and he would have been more powerful and had
Maybe that's
different
what I did.
attacks. So it's actually similar with Seren, the other Axon, because when you go to her, she has a helper. She's like very dancer base, so her helper is like making silk for her or something like that for outfits or whatever. Did you fight the helper?
I don't think so.
I didn't either. But that means that Seren has an extra ability in battle where the I think he heals her.
Oh.
So she's even harder to beat. I didn't fight Seren's
Yeah,
helper.
no, I didn't.
I did fight the other masks for the mask Axon. So he was easier for
Interesting.
me.
Okay.
Seren was a lot harder.
I think that's what I did. I didn't go fight the masks first, and then Michael was like, "No, you got to go fight
You
those
gotta go
masks."
fight those
and I was like,
masks,
"Oh,
yeah.
okay." And then that made it easier. Yeah, Seren wasn't as hard for me. I don't feel like.
Maybe you did fight her helper then.
Maybe I did.
Oh,
I don't
anyways,
remember. There's
doesn't matter. Yeah,
so many things happen in this game.
But I just love that that was even an option, because that means on second playthrough, A, you can do that differently.
Yeah.
B, it includes an extra layer of difficulty for the players that do want it. If you don't want to fight the helpers and you want to fight the bosses at full power, I love that that option is there for everybody.
Yep.
But presumably, you beat both of the Axons and you now have the power to upgrade Mael's sword. So Mael goes to the Curator, gives him one of her swords. It becomes Void Breaker, or whatever it's called.
Barrier
Shield
Breaker,
Barrier Breaker. There we go. It becomes Barrier Breaker. It is the first weapon element that has Void. So you go to the actual physical barrier on Eskie, of course. He flies you there. He swims you there, whatever. And she
You
literally...
hadn't found Sori.
Yeah, you don't have Sori yet. You can't fly yet. But she cuts through the barrier, and you actually get to ascend the monolith.
Which very much sets this up as you're at the end of the game.
You're at the end of the
This
game, bro.
game loves to flip it on its
It
head.
loves a fake out. Loves a good fake out, Clair Obscur does.
Yes, it does.
So you are ascending the monolith, and I also liked that this was stylistically, each of the different areas of the monolith were callbacks to previous areas in game.
Yeah.
Both in terms of the enemies that would be around and their actual like physical environments. Because we talked about it in the first impressions, but oh my god.
The art.
The artistry of the environments and the levels that you're going through is just beyond beautiful. Even the ones that are like blacked out and, you know, just bombed out sorts of shells of places, they still have a very like gaunt beauty to them. So fun. And then others are like bright and colorful and super fun. And you're like, yeah, this place must be friendly, right?
Yeah.
They're not. None of them are. They're all bad.
Terrible.
But it looks like it might be friendly. So you're ascending the monolith. You're like literally retracing your steps, which usually leads to a game finale.
Yep.
You get to the top of the
I
monolith.
mean, they're even saying like we got to make like Minoko is like we got to make sure we're ready for this.
Yes.
This is it.
So you are preparing for what you believe is the final battle against the Paintress. You get to the top of the monolith. You meet the Paintress. She is, I mean, you've seen her before in the distance. You know who she is. I don't think...
I'm trying to remember now because you've had a few more interactions with Renoir and the doll doll
Yeah.
at this point, and I can't remember how much you are aware of. Yes, because you actually before you get to the Paintress, you fight Renoir.
Oh, that's right.
Because
he tries
he
to
stops
stop
back,
you.
he comes back up.
Yeah,
and
yeah,
here's
yeah.
where okay, so there we missed something.
Sorry, oops.
We must back
Backtrack.
up. Basically, you meet Renoir because he again shows up, and you're like, oh fuck, are
Yeah,
you kidding?
he's
Which made
gonna
me again be like, oh man, this is end game. Here we go. And so you fight Renoir. In that fight, you realize that Renoir is Verso's father.
Yes. The family drama come out.
Because he keeps talking about how he wants, like how Verso is hurting his family and how what the path he's on will lead to just pain for his family. Yes. And so you get that Renoir is his father. So this doll is presumably his sister. I believe at this point in this story, you have found out that Verso's family suffered like a fire to their home.
Yes.
That's why which her name is Amelie?
Alicia. Yeah.
She
The doll.
Alicia. She is Verso's sister, who presumably was burned horrifically in this fire.
So there was a scene that you could have gotten right before the monolith, basically where Verso is committed to doing what he's doing, where Alicia actually shows up in camp. But it's just her and Verso.
Yes.
And they have a brief moment where Verso and her are talking but not talking because she doesn't really talk. And he takes the mask off of her face and you see her full face for the first time.
I did see this
and she's
cinematic.
badly burned. And he says out loud, "My beautiful sister
Yeah.
doesn't need this mask." And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to fucking cry.
So you realize there's more going on here. And you then also realize in this same interaction or after the battle or before you begin fighting the Paintress that the Paintress is Verso's mother.
That's him, mama.
So you're like, the fuck is going on here?
So,
and at this point, like I'd already previously in the game been kind of questioning this because Mayel and Alicia and honestly Gustave and Verso look very similar to each other.
And you could say that Gustave and Verso both look like Renoir. Like the family resemblance is definitely there.
So you're kind of like, what is this?
And also other characters, like specifically Verso, Renoir, even Esque to a certain extent, have made little comments all throughout the game that also seem to imply that Maëlle is something or someone else beyond what
like she has
believes.
to learn about it or something about herself.
You don't know if she knows. Is she hiding it? Again, so much of the story is just expertly hidden from you and then revealed at exactly the right time for maximum impact.
So you wind up fighting the Paintress. You defeat the Paintress. And like she goes away and you're like, oh shit, this is great.
Great fight, by the way.
Amazing fight.
Yeah.
And so you're just like, this is great. We did it. We won because you defeated both Renoir and presumably killed him, and you defeated the Paintress and presumably killed her.
Success.
Everything seems great. Everything goes back. You return as triumphant heroes back to Lumiere.
Because Esque has just found Sori. Good news.
Sori.
Right at the end of that
he comes
fight.
back after the fight with the Paintress. He's like, I found Sori. You're like, great.
So literally, you and the whole gang, you jump on top of Esque, and he flies you back to Lumiere as heroes.
And you are greeted by all of your friends and family who still remain. And
all five of them.
Everything is great. Verso, though, seems bummed.
Yeah.
And he's visited by Alicia, right?
Yes, I believe so.
And so, she can't talk because they have this whole conversation where basically Alicia is like, okay, mother painted with life, father paints with death. And at that moment, something comes from the island of the continent where the Paintress was, and it's just a cloud basically. And literally everybody in Lumiere, including Mayel, Ciel, Lune, and Monoko, Gommage.
It's a wave of gommage. So
And it's like, I was sitting there like, what the actual fuck just happened?
It's bad. I mean, you see everybody like just disappear into thin air, and
It's
you're
these
like,
people you've been playing with for 30, 40 hours at this point, and they just die.
Yep. Just awful.
I was like, what?
And this is the end of Act 2. So then all of a sudden, Act 3 comes up on screen, and you're like, what could happen?
Yeah.
And this is where the story really starts to make sense and where the shit really hits the fan, because you wake up in what you now understand is the real world as Alicia. All of the little hints about Maëlle and Alicia and them being similar. Are they sisters? Because actually the game did a really good job of this.
Yeah.
Do you remember there were a few scenes in Act 2 where you would see like flashbacks of the Paintress and or family photos where there were 3 children.
Yes.
There was Verso, there was a girl, and there was another girl.
Yes.
So you are not sure, is Mael one of the sisters? Is Alicia the other sister?
Right.
Neither is true. Mael and Alicia are the same. They do have another sister. Her name is Clair. You meet her in this next scene. Essentially what next happens is Mael / Alicia wakes up in bed as herself. And this is post-fire. So the fire was real. There was a fire in their manor due to some sort of war that the painters have with the writers.
Right, which you're then like, excuse me?
Excuse me? What's going
There's a
on
war
here?
between painters and writers?
So, and like magic is real because the painters have this ability to, they have the ability to paint worlds to be real. So their skill is that they can paint something and then through whatever magical means they have, they can enter the painting and live that painting. That's the world of Lumiere. That's the world of the continent. It is Verso's canvas.
Which you've learned, Verso is actually the one who died
Verso's
in the fire.
Yep, that's correct.
And so Mael / their mother, the paintress, has been
That's what you were
Aline?
thinking
Okay,
earlier. Yeah.
has been keeping basically Verso's memory alive by keeping his canvas alive.
Yes.
And so the mother though has fallen under some sort of like sickness that basically happens if you stay in these canvases too long. You then also figure out the curator has been your Papa Renoir this whole time.
So basically what happened was
Again.
Renoir and the doll / Alicia, as you have known them up until this point, were actually painted versions of the real Renoir and Alicia. So the curator is real Renoir, and he's very different. The Renoir that you meet up until that point has been very cold and
evil.
exacting. When you actually meet their father, he's firm, but he clearly loves Alicia. He clearly loved Verso. He is devastated by the loss of a child. So is their mother. So is Mael.
Yeah.
Mael, so she was badly damaged in the fire. Her face is very scarred, and she is now mute. She cannot speak in the real world anymore. So you can understand why she would prefer to maybe live in the canvas as Mael, where she has power and she has a voice and she has a life. So a lot of things start to click together really fast.
Right. And basically then this whole thing of the paintress is the mother just trying to basically keep this world that Verso created. Therefore, Esquier, Monoko, all the Gestrels are creations of Verso. Exactly. That's why they've been friends and seems like they've been friends for forever.
So do you remember, throughout all of the game, you've been able to access this kind of like liminal space between the worlds of the painting called the Manor. And the Manor is quite literally a recreation of the real world Manor. But you can unlock different rooms of it if you find the doors throughout the continent.
Yes.
There's a door you can find that leads to Verso's childhood room. And you know it's his room, and you find a doll of Esquier on his bed.
Oh, I did not get that room.
I took a picture of it in game. I was like, oh my God, that's Esquier.
It's true.
So I was like,
rumors are true.
at that point, I was putting the pieces together. I was like, okay, I think I see where this is going.
Yeah.
I just don't have all of the puzzle pieces put together quite yet.
Right.
But it was clearly building up to be like a reality splitting sort of thing, which it was.
So, immediately I'm already like, this is Act 3, and you're throwing in this whole new thing of this worlds of like artists and painters and writers at war with each other, which is now, they've said that Sandfall has come out and said that they're going to be making more Clair games in the universe. So I'm like, okay, cool. We get to figure out what this actually is.
Yeah.
So that's awesome. Slash makes it a little bit more clear how there will actually be other games in this, because you're just in another canvas.
So no, what I was thinking is maybe they won't. My thought was they have perfectly set themselves up to have 2 completely different games by focusing on the writers.
Oh, that's true.
Or musicians. Because what have you learned about Verso this whole time? He didn't really want to be a painter. He wanted to be a musician.
That's right.
So I feel like there are so many interesting paths that this could go that are still highly art related, but with the different forms of art.
It's going to be great.
We
It's
love
so
the
cool.
French here and their love of art.
And so, you eventually do have to go up against Renoir again.
So the situation now is your mother, Alicia, and Clea's mother, your sister. Basically, Clea comes to you and she's like, wake up, bitch. It's your fault Verso's dead and mom and dad hate each other because her mother and father are still in Verso's canvas fighting each other. Obviously, Aline to try and preserve the canvas, Renoir to try and destroy it.
Because he wants to, move on, or
Yeah,
like
his
idea of closure, I
his
guess.
stance is understandable. So the whole game has been leading to this this existential question of how do you deal with loss? If life is really bad and hard, is it better to live in the fantasy? Or is that cruel because it's a lie? Do you need closure to move on? How do you get closure? There are all of these really big questions that the game is asking. And there are really no hard and fast answers because there are different endings.
Exactly. Which brings us to the conclusion.
The final stretch.
And so basically at this point, you do face off and defeat Renoir once again.
Which, can we do a quick aside to talk about the epic return? So quick aside. Everybody did die. But Alicia,
that's right.
Yes,
that's right,
we need to set the stage. Alicia returns to the canvas. They get Clea and Alicia. They get Verso's canvas. They hide it somewhere that their parents can't find. Alicia goes back into the canvas. She is now Alicia, but she also knows that she was Mael. So the two characters have become one. With her power as a paintress, because Alicia is a paintress, she's got that ability. She repaints all of the characters that you have lost.
Oh my God, I was so happy.
So Lune and Ciel and Eske and Minoko, they all come back.
Yeah.
Verso's back. Everybody's back. You do briefly go and try to reason with your father, but he won't do it.
Nope.
So you have to launch a final assault on Lumiere to fight your way back to Renoir. And she does it by getting all of the leftover chroma, the painterly life essence of every expeditioner
Yep.
that came before.
Ah, so cool.
And then they sail on Esquier back to Lumiere, and they ghostly shadows from the past. All of the expeditioners
cool.
charge in
It's
ahead to
literally
fight.
like the Army of the Dead at the end of Lord of the Rings.
Absolutely is.
It is
It was
so cool.
so badass. And as you're fighting your way towards Renoir, you can see the expeditioners kicking ass in the background. And you're like, oh my God, this is the best.
Yeah, so good.
I was sobbing because I was like, it's so cool.
And so you wind up fighting Renoir. You, as you would expect at this
Yes.
point in the game, you do finally defeat him for real.
Yes.
But then the final conflict that no one saw coming that led to the end choices.
Devastating.
Basically, at this point, you now realize that Mael, as Alicia, is wanting to continue to preserve Verso's memory in his canvas. But at this point, too, Verso's making it clear that he does not want to continue because he knows that he is the imagination, her mind's imagination of himself and this version of him that's not real.
He also knows that, again, if they stay in the painting too long, they'll die.
Yeah.
So obviously he knows that he's, air quotes, not real. You could argue, what is real? They were literally painted to life.
Exactly.
You could make the argument that they're no more unreal than everybody else, but it's all those big existential questions.
Exactly.
So he, in an effort to what he believes is help his sister, him and Mael face off.
And isn't at this point that you choose?
Yes.
Because it's basically you then have to pick, do you choose with Mael,
Yes.
which means that if Mael wins, Verso will, obviously still be alive, but just things will continue as they have been. Or if you pick Verso and play as Verso in this fight, you'll defeat Mael, kicking her out of the canvas in this world that you've been in for this whole time. And again, basically all of these characters you've been in, you've gotten to know, will actually be
they
gone.
will really cease to exist because at the same time you've been meeting the shadowy after image of a little boy throughout the entire game.
Yeah.
Who you now understand is the piece of the soul that the artist leaves behind when they paint. So the reason that the painting continues, the reason that it continues to be a place of life for the things that are in it, is because a piece of Verso's very soul remains in the painting.
Right.
So if you defeat Mael, that piece of the soul, Verso, the character, is going to destroy that piece of Verso's soul and end the canvas for good. You know that those are the stakes.
Yeah. So, who did you pick?
I picked Verso.
Really?
Did you pick Mael?
I picked Mael.
Oh my God, I'm so glad we picked different ones.
I am too. Because I honestly, it was literally at that point, they had all these characters that I just played as had just been taken away. It was terrible.
Oh, it was terrible.
And it was so sad. And I honestly, like, you see both sides. That's what makes it so hard. You see both sides of this, and you're kind of like, yeah, Versa makes great points, but Mael makes great points. But it kind of like felt like, okay, but Mael will learn because she saw what happened to her mom who got like stuck in this for so long. So like maybe she can be different. And so that was
she can, but there is some dialogue between her and Verso that implies that Verso knows that she's lying to herself.
Yeah.
So the implication is if Mael succeeds, she's not going to return to the real world, and she probably will die in the canvas.
Yeah.
But also, what if that's her choice? What
Yeah.
if that's what she wants? I mean, nobody wants to, have that be something that happens to their loved ones, but from her perspective, life outside the canvas is unbearable.
Yeah.
So, and also, quick aside, Clea vocally blames Alicia
Yeah.
for everything
She
bad
hates
that has.
her.
Yeah, I mean, Clea is like low key the real villain. Renoir and Aline are not the villains. Clea sucks ass because just imagine, what if Aline and Renoir and Clea had been able to pull together as a family before destroying the canvas? Like if if Alicia had had any kind of empathy or support from her family, would she have to rely on Verso's canvas as much? Probably not. But the situation is her own mother is in such grief that she cannot leave Verso's canvas, and her horrible sister places all of that blame on her. And it's just like, what is she supposed to do?
Exactly.
So you know what it is for her.
Yeah. So, as you just eloquently said,
Oh my God.
that's why I'm like, I gotta go with Mael.
I wanted to do Mael.
Yeah.
But I was also like, but I feel like I have to do Verso. So I picked Verso, and it was
right.
not a difficult fight, by the way.
Oh yeah,
it was really easy.
No, it wasn't too bad in terms of that, because I felt like at that point that's not what you were there for.
Yeah.
So basically, Mael's story then, and as soon as it was over, I knew I did the bad thing. I knew it was not good. Have you watched the other?
No, tell me what happens.
So basically, it's like Mael wins, and then it skips a undeterminate, you don't know, but you just see her like walking around Lumiere's, Mael, and then you see like, you see her like go see like all these people you've seen. She meets up again with Ciel, Lune, and all this, and you can tell they're going somewhere. You're like, oh, this is awesome. And then you go in there, and it's obviously a concert hall. And Verso comes out, sits at the piano, and starts playing. But it's old man Verso. So you can tell this is probably like
many
years in the future.
Huh.
And he's playing. It's a beautiful song that he plays on the piano. But of course, it's still in black and white and kind of like very somber still. And everything. And so all this is going. It's a beautiful song. Everybody's just completely enraptured by his performance. And then it ends, the song ends, and he just kind of sits at the piano, like looking down, turns and cuts to Mael, and she's just like staring at him from the crowd as parts of her skin and everything kind of start like lifting and blurring. Oh no. So it's true. She was lying to herself.
Her time.
And she's staying in the canvas.
Oh man.
So what happened with Verso?
It's not much better.
Oh Jesus.
So again, like the whole point of the game is there is no easy way out. There are no easy answers to the most horrible things that life can throw at people. So in Verso's ending, he succeeds. He holds Mael in his arms as she disappears from the painting. Obviously, she is going back to reality as Alicia. But then in Verso's ending, oh my God, it was just gut-wrenching.
Because I'm sure you would just watch the world fall apart.
Eski and Minoko come to Verso, and they all do one big hug for the last time. And I was like, oh my God, I'm going to fucking lose it. I was losing it. And then through like a portal to somewhere else, you can see Lune just sit down furious, and she just gives Verso the most incredible death glare.
Yeah, because they kind of like go back and forth at times. Yeah.
Yeah, so I mean, Ciel disappears, Lune disappears, and then Minoko, Eske, and Verso all disappear. It's just like,
yeah, I'm sorry. I don't think I could have made it through that.
It was absolutely terrible.
Yeah.
The only silver lining is there is another cutscene after that, back in the real world.
Oh, see, it does not go back to the real world in mine.
Where Renoir, Alicia, and Aline and even Clair, even though fuck her, are at Verso's grave. And they are actually, they seem to be healing because Alicia lays some flowers on his grave. Clair even briefly makes a motion of like maybe not being such a bitch. And then she leaves. But the implication is the family is going to heal. So it is.
So that's, I guess, the good ending?
In the loosest air quotes, it's the good ending.
Yeah,
but
Jesus,
my God.
That's still an emotional gut punch.
It was just terrible. Ugh. What, I mean, so for them to like, the writers of the game took so many bold choices.
Oh, for sure.
And they just really didn't let up on the themes of the game, which I feel like were so easy to have fumbled. So there are many things to love about Clair Obscur. The incredible soundtrack.
Yes.
The beautiful visuals.
Yes.
The humor, the combat, the mechanics,
So
the
good.
gameplay itself. But really, I think it's the narrative that absolutely powers Clair Obscur Expedition 33 into being an easy game of the fucking decade.
Yeah.
It goes well beyond game of the year. It is just, it's a masterpiece.
I mean, it's one of those games. It is literally like, it's one of those games. Again, like what did I say? What have I always said about why Last of Us grabbed me and hooked me, and what I do look for and love about games is the big, heavy hitting emotional stories that really like grab you.
Clair Obscur's got it in spades.
Exactly. And so that's why, like, even after that, I knew after the prologue, I was like, nope, I don't care if this combat drives me fucking nuts. I don't care if I hate it. I'm seeing this game through, because that just initial bit was enough to be like, this is going to be fantastic.
Yeah. And then they stuck the landing times 1,000.
Yes.
I mean, what they stuck multiple landings times 1,000. So man, good for them. Good for Sandfall Interactive. They deserve all of the praise and accolades and the success. And I can only pray for the next game to be a rhythm-based game with the musicians. That's what I'm thinking,
Oh
bro.
my God. Yeah, you probably will, because you've already got the dodges and the parries. They're absolutely going to do that to musical timing.
God, I hope that's where
my
they're
God,
going
that would
with
be
it.
incredible.
Yeah, that's where my brain immediately skipped to. I was like, oh
hadn't
my
thought
God,
of that at
it could
all.
be about the musicians. It's
That
going to
would
be
be
so awesome.
So cool.
Yeah, but with completely different cast of characters, totally different, because they said that the Clair Obscur part is what's going to be the
like overarching
yeah,
franchise.
that's the franchise, the IP, whereas Expedition 33 was this one story. The others could be anything. I mean, now that there is no Paintress...
Concerto 69. Ooh. Sorry, I read it.
Bro. But I mean, other than part of that, I like where your head is at.
Yeah, thank you. But anyway, so yeah, no, I just fully did not anticipate any of that at all, and it just was. And the great part is too, we won't even have to wait for a whole new game, because there is going to be some DLC coming down the pipe.
Free DLC.
Free DLC.
Free
We love that.
DLC.
And so, you know, it's going to be, I think, a new dungeon, fully a little bit more story stuff as well. So we're going to be able to go back to the world.
There were some implications in the hints that Sandfall gave that whatever the DLC is, it might focus on like child Verso and his adventures with Esquier. God, I hope so.
Yes,
because
that's all
then
we need.
The journey never has to end.
Next year, 2026, we hold Jeff Keighley to the same fucking standard and say that he has to put the DLC for Clair Obscur up for Game of the Year contender.
That's
and it wins
right.
2 years in a row.
2 years in a row, baby.
So that's what we can hope for. But until then, I feel like we've covered our bases.
We've covered as
talked.
much as we can. I mean, there could have been more that we could have talked about. There were so many beautiful parts of the game that were either funny or sad or any range in between. So you just really need to play it for yourself. You need to play it and experience it. There were bosses and sections of the game that Jared and I didn't do.
Yeah.
And to be honest, part of the way through, I was like, okay, I think I'm going to leave some stuff to
go back to.
Yeah, because
there's so much more now that I can go back to and
absolutely
explore.
going to play it again.
Yeah.
As soon as I finished it, I wanted to start again.
Why didn't you?
I restrained myself and I was like, no, I'll play it again in a year and it'll be like a whole new time.
Just when the DLC comes out, just restart. Fresh
and now
game.
I'll know that I really don't need to fuck around with Gustav's skill tree at all, because it doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter. Just get the basics, and that's all you got to figure
Just
out
get
with
the
old
racked
Gustav.
one. You don't need it.
But if you can't tell, We absolutely love Clair
it.
Obscur Expedition 33 and hope to see more coming from this franchise very, very soon because, we just can't get enough. And like we said, if it hasn't been clear enough already, it's going to be our game of the year. So we might recap it again at the end. Then just
You're going to hear more about it.
You're going to hear more about it. It's going to keep coming back up. But until then, everybody, thanks for hanging out with us as we gushed over Expedition 33. And we, of course, would love to hear your thoughts about the game as well. So send us an email at teamchatpodcast@gmail.com. Jump over to our Discord server and talk about it with us there. We would love to hear from you. But until next time, everybody, I think that wraps up this beefy episode.
We're emotionally
of Team Chat
exhausted.
Podcast. Yes, I'm very emotionally exhausted. Need some food to refill the soul.
Some chicken nuggies.
Let's just restart Clair Obscur. Let's just go home and both
Honestly,
do it,
why would we
Honestly,
play
why would
anything
we
else?
Not? So we're going to go back to that and get back to our gaming. And until then, everybody, I'm one of your hosts, Jarrett Wilson, joined by Rachel Mogan.
I forgot how to... Au revoir.
Au revoir.
Oh, that was close.
Au
I almost
revoir.
forgot how to say it.
It's not adios this time. It's au revoir. We'll see you on the next episode, everybody.